How does Jason balance himself through his day-to-day to have a profit and thrive mentality, a work-life balance?
Yes, I think it's critical to have that work-life balance. It's a juggling act, of course,
Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage and also Ellis Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and it is Mubified Mondays. I am excited. We are jumping right over the pond, all the way over to Shanghai, right? Right? Correct?
Shanghai, correct, yeah.
Shanghai, yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I got Jason Will with Asian Tigers China, part of the Asian Tigers group, which is the leading international relocation and moving services provider, with a huge, strong presence in Asia and a global outlook, with over 14 locations across Asia, supported by about 14,000 professionals. 1,400, my apologies.
1,400.
Yeah, 1,400. And, when I used to tell customers, well, we do around 2,000 moves a year and we're very busy and our guys get trained. We're talking about 16,000 families and over 500 companies that they relocate annually. So it's very exciting to have Jason on the show. Asian Tigers China is the Chinese branch of the group. It's a well-established provider from end-to-end relocation within the market. It's a pleasure that I can have Jason take this time. We are doing an evening podcast, and it's a morning podcast with Jason, which is exciting. But I really kind of wanted to. So welcome, Jason. Welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. We were talking briefly just before. And I said, okay, well, Mubified is on this channel and this channel and that channel. And Jason says, and we don't use this channel and we don't use this channel. We don't use that channel. And so because of all the different laws that happen in China, so it looks like I have a couple of new avenues to post content on to make sure that Mubified is worldwide, which is what we want. It's Mubified Nation here and in North America. And we want to bring it across the pond and across the globe to every moving company owner, because one of the things I was talking to my wife earlier about today was she said to me again, she goes, well, what's your why? Like, why are you doing this podcast? And it really is to help moving company owners grow without having to learn how to start the wheel again, right? How to learn, where's my paddle? How can I move forward? How can I steer my ship in the right direction for growth? How can I eventually become that company that does have multiple locations, doing so many moves a year, and can also help relocate families with top professional service? And so this is what this podcast is about. And I'm, again, happy to have Jason on the show. But I kind of want to just start with your story, because a lot of moving company owners, you always hear the story. Hey, listen, I started off as a helper or a swamper, and then I kind of got involved maybe in sales, and then I kind of grew into the business and became the operations and the GM and eventually vice president. It's that whole lineage and Stein, or you came into your family. My dad was a mover, but typically, when I read your bio, to come from lots of main relocation companies, like strong named relocation companies. We're talking about Crown Relocations. We're talking about Santa Fe Relocation. We are all now talking about Asian Tigers. Tell me, what's your story? What's your why? What's your why? Working with both these companies and being pulled into the moving and relocation industry.
Sure. I started in the shipping industry, and then freight forwarding was after that. And then somehow, because of the synergy between freight forwarding and moving services, my first job was at what was called at the time ScotPack, which was originally owned by P&O, but then got bought out by Crown. So they eventually changed the brand in Australia from ScotPack to Crown. So I joined the industry, which is obviously very different than a freight forwarding shipping. It's very personal, moving commodities or commercial materials around the world is not very emotional. If something goes wrong, there's an insurance claim. But if you're moving people's personal belongings, it's a whole different ballgame in terms of the emotional attachment to that move. So started with Crown back in the early days, and we're going back 30 years now. I was with them for, I think, something like 12, 13 years. Joined Santa Fe, again, an expanding global organization. Originally, they were just Asia, and then they started expanding globally. So interesting phase to be with them. And then some 8 years ago, joined Asian Tigers in China. So it's been 30 years of different experiences with different organizations, learning what goes right, what goes wrong, best practices. So it's been quite an education, and still learning even today.
What would you say, looking back over the three different companies, what were some of the biggest lessons you learned, if you had to pick one at Crown, Santa Fe, in terms of like operating, how they operated, and what then you ended up bringing into Asian Tigers from your experience?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Crown and for what the organization's done, and from the humble origins with Jim Thompson and Santa Fe. Probably the biggest difference between my Asian Tigers experience and my experiences with Santa Fe and Crown. Asian Tigers is a smaller, close-knit organization, so your voice gets heard. So if I come out and say, look, guys, I got a new idea, let's try and do things differently, let's try this, my voice is going to get heard. When you're part of a global organization, which is great to be in, but one of the downsides is that there's so many voices globally. If you've got great ideas and things you think they should do differently, your voice kind of gets lost in the noise. So your ability to have an impact on the future of the organization is much more limited.
I can only imagine sitting in a like Zoom meeting or some type of like Teams meeting with all the different locations, or having some type of discussion, especially when it comes to changes in how operations flow or how marketing goes. Everybody's must have an opinion.
Exactly. So I think that's if I make a comparison, the biggest advantage that we have is that we're a bit more agile. We can change direction a lot more quicker because there's less voices trying to tell us what we should be doing differently.
Now, your position at Asian Tigers China is you're kind of like the country, the regional director, like management to oversee all the different locations, or the like. How does your title present? Because I've never seen that title
Yes,
in North America.
it's officially country manager of mainland China. So Hong Kong is technically part of China, but it's separate, a separate management team. And so basically, we have 10 locations within China. We have something like 280 plus employees. So it's a little bit different to my colleagues elsewhere in Asia. Singapore is one location. Philippines is typically one location. Thailand is typically one location. Yeah, I'm juggling 9 different locations around China. And remembering China is slightly smaller, but more or less the same size as the USA. So it's a lot of territory to manage. And so, I have to keep in contact with our teams and make sure, we're hiring right. They're following processes as they should. So it's a bit of a juggling act trying to manage, 280 people in 9 different locations in China for sure.
How do you do that? And I kind of have like a follow-up question to it, but like, what does Jason's schedule look like during the week,
So
like a Monday to Friday type of schedule?
You wake up in the morning and you look at the emails you've got overnight from around the world, and then you prioritize which one you need to deal with first. So there's certainly a component of, with the time zone difference, that when you wake up in the morning and get to your laptop, that you've got, 100 plus emails to deal with. And then the rest of the day is looking at, you want a visibility, on what your people are doing. So I'm getting copied on emails. I need to understand what they're doing. We're doing reporting, daily reporting on things. So it's a lot of reporting that I can view, and I can see when I see something wrong. Fortunately, 90% of the time, our people are doing things how they should be. Of course, there might occasionally escalation might come to me that I need to get involved with. So it's a lot of management oversight, but our reporting system is pretty finely tuned. So I get visibility without getting involved directly in every single thing.
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use. And that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we have 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
I like that. It's like lightly overseeing, but making sure that the people that are in place, and we'll talk about this a lot on the show, is having the right people in place to delegate those type of tasks. Because when you have 9 different locations, you can't just, and especially when you think of how large the US is and how large China is, you can't just be like, okay, great. Like, let me just drive over to that other location and let me go check out that location. It's a lot of planning and making sure that you have the right people in place.
Lends into the recruitment policy as well. So, we have a large labor pool. 1.4 billion people live here in China. So, making the selection on the right people. We tend to look at their attitude towards customer service, waking up in the morning, being excited about going to their job, being absolutely delighted when they have a customer that's very happy. Those selection processes are pretty critical. And then obviously retaining those people. So we're fortunate that most of the people working for us have been with us now, 10 or 15 years. So they're experienced. They know what they need to do. The problem with a lot of companies may be that if you've got high turnover, the training process and then realizing 3 months into it that you've got the wrong person really affects your operations. So my job's made a lot easier by the fact that we have a lot of experienced, loyal people to the organization that know what they're supposed to be doing. So that takes a little bit of pressure off me to some extent.
Have you found that as a difference being in, 2 other large corporations where you're now in a culture where once they're in, they're kind of in. Like I would find that in the Asian culture, there's a sense of loyalty. Like they're treated right, they will treat you right. They will be lifetime employees for you, trying to work hard.
Yeah, I think there's 2 components to that. One is obviously the job market here in China at the moment is a little bit slow. So, we don't get people jumping jobs a lot because the market is a little bit slow out there. They're happy to have a job where they're appreciated and looked after. And they're ambitious and we got small teams and we do, team building and lunches and dinners and bonuses and things like that. So we do as much as we can to incentivize the people to stay where they are and be happy with their circumstances. So that's working well for us.
In North America, a lot of us are heavily pressed on needing Google reviews. So one of the main incentives that a lot of us moving companies do is we say, hey, listen, when you're out there with the customer, let's get a photo with the customer. Let's maybe get a video testimonial. Let's make sure we get that 5-star review because Google's looking at that. We want as many reviews as possible. What type of incentives? And then typically, that mover or that helper is going to get a slight bonus. Here's, $25 for every review, however that is structured in your company. How does it work for yourself? How do you incentivize your employees?
Well, operationally, obviously, when we have a shipment with no damages, there's a reward that goes to that packing team. Good feedback from customers, and we attribute that a lot to the crew and to the move coordinator. They're rewarded for that. So, and also internally, when there's good feedback, within the organization, 280 people, we promote, here's some good feedback from our client. Thanks to the move coordinator for the packing team, here's their names. So they love the fact that they get acknowledged, within the organization as a whole for, happy clients.
I love that. One of the things that always fascinated me when I first heard about Asian Tigers was I remember seeing a video of just the uniforms, how they wrapped everything, how they go into a home. There is like this amazing sense, professionalism that's being taught within your company, and especially when you take it a step farther and know that people are not just moving locally within the different cities, but a lot is going internationally. It's being shipped to a different country. So there's all these different steps and procedures that you have to take into place, especially when I think of, the professionalism, the honesty, the integrity, also having the different ISO certifications that you have. And if you don't know what I'm talking about for those certifications, look it up, like the 9001, 14001, 45001. Like there's all these different special certifications, and then also being part of FAIM for the international, movers like I am. Most people would recognize that as a brand. How has that training, like from when you first came into Asian Tigers to now, how is that fully implemented? Like, what does that look like? Your training programs when you are training new hires?
Well, our business model, not just in China, but for most parts of Asia, is to have permanent employees in operations. So these are guys that join us and stay with us for a long time. A lot of other companies have the model where they use contractors when they're busy, and they reduce that scale, and that's a maybe more cost-effective model. But we believe employing our own permanent staff, who have been trained and go through regular training, is we have a lot more control on the quality than if we were to outsource laborers and operations teams when we need them. So, yeah, I mean, we have well-documented training programs, employee behavior guidelines, when you go to the client's residence, how to behave, how to interact with them, remembering that, the cultures might be a little bit different here. But, so we probably have to go deeper dive into the cultural, how do our local staff interact better and well with our expat clients. Is something that needs to be taught and retaught and on a regular basis. So that may be a little bit different than North America because of the cultural differences.
No, for sure. And I guess that kind of leads to my next question is, you've seen how relocation works in Canada and North America. What would you say are some of the biggest differences when it comes to logistics and moving in China?
Well, as opposed to North America, where, a good percentage of your clients may be private individuals moving from A to B, in Asia, 90% of our business is our corporate business, multinational companies moving people around. So that leads to a different expectation level from your clients. The corporate employees, high-paid expats who've been moving around from region to region, definitely have a high expectation level of what service they expect. The company's paying for the move, but they want, top-level service, top-level communication. So the expectation and demands on our teams, I think in China and Asia, for that matter, maybe a little different. We don't have, the large percentage of private individuals moving whose expectation level might be a little bit lower than corporate clients. So that places a lot of pressure on our teams.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first, so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
What's up, guys? It's Austin Yarrow with the Moving Army. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're crushing it, you're growing your business, and you don't need any help. Majority of you probably don't. But the thing is that information alone isn't enough. If you're looking for someone to hold you accountable, work with you, and collaborate with others in our industry with teams that are killing it, crushing it, you need to join the Moving Army. This is my invitation to you. You can text my personal cell, 805-441-6118. I'll see you soon and wait for your call. Join the Moving Army today.
You have that opportunity to expand your division. At Salmons, we have multiple different divisions within our company. We do international moves, we do office relocation, we do the local COD moves. But it takes certain training, it takes certain expertise when you are getting involved into a different division. What would you say to the listeners and watchers here that are saying, hey, I'd love to try and get into office relocation. I really want to get into corporate moves. What would your advice be to someone that is looking to try and expand, just not to get out of that local, hey, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is moving down the street, and that's my typical residential moves that I'm doing all the time?
You know, when you talk about the pricing and margin, you know, that puts you in a very competitive market where there's a lot of pressure on your pricing. So I think companies now, you know, we've seen over the last several years, I guess since COVID years, that companies are scaling back a little bit on relocation. So, you know, companies are looking to diversify and not have their, you know, proverbial eggs in one basket. So I think a lot of moving companies around the globe, from what I understand and talk to people about, are trying, okay, how do we diversify into, is it hotel fit outs? Is it office relocations? And if it's office relocations, can we offer, you know, help them design the new office, you know, expanding their offerings. So, you know, I think as moving companies now, we can't just be reliant on the industry that used to give us bread and butter. It's got a lot tougher. A lot of the maturity would be leaner and meaner. And I think diversification is an important part of enabling us to ensure that we, you know, our eggs are not in one basket, that we're not relying on one revenue stream.
Because of that, you know, it also then allows you to have, again, we were talking about doing the beginning, to finding the right people. Would you recommend that for someone to try and either find someone that has worked in those industries? So, you know, someone that does like office relocation for, you know, let's just use like Amazon, for example. Everybody knows Amazon. So to find someone that worked doing employment relocation within the firm, like poach someone like that, or you're putting out, you're trying to manifest an employee like them to come onto your team because they might have the insight, like, or is it easier just to hire someone out? I know in the beginning you talked about, you know, really how you hire and what you look for, but you know, for those that say, I've never done office relocation, I've never looked into, you know, doing the setups for offices or hotels, or you know, that's a huge task to undertake. How are you finding the right employees for that?
Sure.
You don't say.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not it's a complex process. I think the team lead has to be somewhat familiar with that industry, been in the industry, and then, but the subsequent hires, then people can be trained. So I don't think everybody you hire for that particular division needs to be from that background, but I think you do need someone with, you know, relevant experience in their background, who can help train and teach and manage. And I still think good software can help manage a relocation project for an office relocation, or hotel fit out. So I think that's integral as well, is to make sure you've got software that a project type software that can support that sort of activity.
Well, I love how you're transitioning into software. We have one of our sponsors, Smart Moving. It's a huge North American CRM system that I can always say a large percentage of listeners and those that are within the moving industry use today. And then we have several other ones, like Supermove that's out there, and Moveware and Logistics, and there's so many different CRM systems out there. Did Asian Tigers construct their own CRM? Like, do you have like your own set built out? Is there a certain CRM that you find works really well within your organization?
Yeah, I think we can all acknowledge that the moving industry as a whole has been quite somewhat slow to engage software in our day-to-day operations. There's still lots of big companies out there that are still manually writing labels, manually doing upturned bingo sheets, packing lists manually. So I think as an industry, we have been a bit guilty of being slow to uptake on technology that is available now to us. So what we chose to do in China many years ago was to build our own, just because we understand that some of the custom-made software out there may not be compatible for everybody. So we thought, let's sit down and map out what we want as an organization. The process to do that is quite tedious and takes a little bit long to buy off-the-shelf software. So we undertook that process, and we, made modification improvements along the way. We're well down that road already. So that's the path that we chose to take. And some organizations that may not be a suitable option for them, but buying off the shelf software might be better for them. We just made a decision that let's make it compatible with the way we do things. So we wrote our own with the help of a consultant, of course.
Has your software also expanded into the warehousing aspect for like inventory management and for labeling, so that it does just about everything?
Yeah, everything's barcoded in the warehouse. Anything comes in and out. At some point, we're going to probably move to RFIDs to alert the system when a package comes into the warehouse or leaves the warehouse. So we've incorporated mostly based on barcoding at the moment, but we're probably going to move to RFID at some point on that as well. So all aspects of our operation, the packing list automated. The labels are scanned, leaving the client's house, coming to the client's house, going onto the truck. We've automated, probably 80-90% of what we can do.
Asian Tigers operates massive warehouses across China. Climate control, 24/7 security, GPS tracking, as you mentioned, with the barcoding as well too. How is warehouse management in China different than what you've seen in North America?
I think the first thing would be, yes, we have our own warehouse across China. The difference between Asia or China, for that matter, is probably scale. When our clients leave Asia and head to Europe or back to North America, they bring everything with them. So long-term storage is not really a thing in Asia. Whereas in North America, when people go overseas, they may not take everything. They might put half in their ship and half into long-term storage. So the scale of warehousing here is probably a bit smaller than North America in terms of long-term storage and the scale of warehousing you need to support that long-term storage.
When we talk about warehousing, and I think of the difference between that long-term storage, I mean, every time, and I look at some of our storage clients and I say, oh boy, this person's been in here since, 2011 or 2014. And, they're paying, $500 or $1,000 a month storage. And it's been so many years. The owner in me goes, this is fantastic. My warehouse is full. We got residual income coming in. That's fine. For your side, when there's not that long-term storage and there's only short-term, and you talk about the difference of scale, how are you then optimizing it to make a profit for your clients? Like, is that something that's just, it's constantly in, out? Like, there must be a sense of organization, like must be critical when it comes down to quality control, keeping things organized and tight, following certain systems in the warehouse, but then also, to keep that warehouse profitable. What is Asian Tigers doing currently right now, or like what is working to have so many warehouses?
Yeah, I think to some extent having long-term storage is a safer option because it sits there, it doesn't move. But when you've got a warehouse where every day there's things going in, things going out, your ability to track and manage to make sure that this wrong package doesn't go into a shipment halfway around the world, and then you have to get it back again. So so the challenge is a little bit higher when you've got a very busy, active warehouse with things coming and going all the time. And this is where the tracking, the barcoding comes into it to keep that situation safe. But you're right. At the same time, we need to try and ensure the profitability of our warehouses. So the storage in transit is critical. But we're building up records management business here. Records management is a good revenue stream for paying for your overheads for the warehouse. We have air conditioned storage where we do storage for very high value items for various clients, and that pays quite well. They've got expensive pieces of furniture that they want stored in an air conditioned environment, and they'll pay reasonable money to make sure that those items are safe. So yeah, it's a balancing act, but I think records management helps. Our high value environment control, that warehouse area is a good money earner because companies are prepared to pay money for that environment. So it works quite well. We can't rely on long-term storage revenue because it doesn't really exist. So you've got to rely on other things.
Would you see that's like a big pinpoint when having clients that are looking for warehousing, especially because you deal with so many companies that you're relocating annually, having the air conditioning storage units, having things barcoded, going into like the RIF mentality where things are tracked in, out, and having this type of quality that you get to offer to the clients, you get to have a higher price point. You will automatically usually get those jobs a lot faster. Like, have you found that having this in place has brought in more clients, or is there just more of a sense of trust?
I think the trust element is there. We're an international company. We have operating processes which are quite strict and tight. The ISO 9000s and 14000s and whatever else. We ensure our warehousing is has the security, has the fire protection, the sprinkler systems, the 24-hour security. So I think the quality we offer is, warehousing. You can find cheap warehouses anywhere in China, but getting one that's operated by an international company with international standards attracts business to us for sure.
Well, we're at a moment here where before kind of switch gears, it's called the Dolly Dash moment. So I'm going to hit you with a couple questions. You have less than 60 seconds to give them some answers, and they're a bit fun. Jason, what is the weirdest thing that one of your movers has come back and said they had to move?
I recall many years ago, there was the anecdote of a client in Hong Kong that I think was moving to the UK. And when the company asked, what do you intend to move? He said, my stuff and junk, right? And they said, okay, fair enough. When it came time to move him, he had one of these Chinese jugs, which is a vessel, a fishing vessel, commonly known in Hong Kong as junks. So he'd acquired a junk at some point during his stay in Hong Kong. The prospect, he expected them to move his Chinese fishing vessel to the UK. So I don't think that happened in the end, but that was quite a good story from the past.
What is the best advice that someone has given to you?
One of my previous CEOs always used to say, you ask a question and you give an answer back. And his whole theory was seeing is believing. and if he hears this podcast, he's going to know exactly talk about him. He said, look, having people tell you things is one thing, but, to truly make it real and true, you have to see with your own eyes that this is happening or this is the situation. So, yeah, don't believe everything you're told, only believe everything you see.
I like that. You've been doing this for 30 years. How does Jason balance himself through his day-to-day to have a profit and thrive mentality, a work-life balance?
Yes, I think it's critical to have that work-life balance. So it's a juggling act, of course. I try and avoid the temptation of looking at my emails at 11 o'clock at night. I'm aware there's some critical times that you have to deal with things. But I try and switch off typically at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the evening, shut my laptop down, and not open it. I've avoided the instinct to have emails on my mobile phone. I've resisted the temptation to do that because I don't want to be opening my mobile phone in the evening and seeing emails there. So, you have to force it to happen. As much as I enjoy my job, and I know that with the time difference that we do get critical emails coming at all times of the day, but you have to force yourself to shut your laptop down at some point, and find stuff to do with your family, which gets you away from thinking in work mode all the time, 24/7.
It's 100%. I always find that it's always hard in this industry to put your phone down because customers will message you all the time. They, especially when you're dealing with different time zones, we don't have that much of a difference, but we're always dealing with the East Coast. So, usually by 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, if I have the temptation to look at my phone while I'm at the gym, I already see a bunch of emails coming in from back East. And because when we do international shipping, you're already getting emails coming in from, shippers that are in Dubai, and we have shippers that are in Germany and different ports, and they want answers. And of course, with the time changes, they were expecting your answer at my time at probably 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's really about just trying to be efficient with your time. I kind of want to now back to like flipping the script. And I want to talk about something interesting because I love this, and it's the big talk. It's always been the big talk in the last year, and that is how are you incorporating AI into your company? How is AI taking over every industry? But thankfully, we haven't seen any AI robots that are moving furniture. But you have introduced to your clients, let's call it, what do you guys call it? The AI Cindy.
Concierge, yeah.
Can you tell me that process? Like, how is that meeting like to incorporate that? How has that benefited the company? Is it more of a gimmick? Is it more of no, like, this, we have, built the knowledge base, the back end part of Cindy. So, she's there to answer a lot of the questions. Run me through that process because I find it very fascinating. I haven't seen it yet in the North American side. I know it's coming. We have a lot of AI chatbots happening. We can make videos now very easily. I was showing someone the other day. I took a photo of myself, added the script, gave it a small little snippet of my voice, and now here my head was moving, my body was moving in the video, and it looked like I was talking to like live video. It was just from a photo. So walk me through this process because I find it very fascinating.
Yeah, as well. I mean, it's just incredible that this AI thing has come at us so quickly and is improving all the time. And I'm constantly amazed at what we're capable of achieving. So with the assistance of a digital marketing agency that we've hired, they installed this AI concierge. Initially it's a bot, and you type a question and it answers a question in text. Now it's moved beyond that. You've got someone who's talking, you're asking questions, and is answering you in words. But we had to take this concierge, and we had to train them in our industry. So we're to feed it information, quickly ask questions, feed it information from a website. So it's a position to be knowledgeable enough to answer, normal questions. So, a client, again, might be a different time zone, can ask any question. And in 90% of cases, it's trained to the point that it can answer 90% of the questions that people ask of it. We test it ourselves. So what's the most difficult moving question I can ask this concierge, and see if it gets it right. And then we've discovered things that maybe the knowledge gap was a bit short.
What was that hard question? Do you remember?
It can be, I've got a poodle, and I've got moving from Scotland to Tokyo. It's questions like that. Transit time, I got to, my shipping from here to here, how long it's going to take, and make sure they give accurate answers. So, we tested it and then released it, and now clients, whether it's Asia time zone or European or US time zone, can ask questions, and 90% of the time get an accurate answer to the question. If the question is a little bit too difficult, it might be how much it's going to cost me to move things from A to B. The concierge doesn't answer those questions like they refer, the Asian Tigers representative can help you. They'll be in contact with you if you leave me your email address and whatever else. So that's definitely an admin saving, questions that would be a phone call or an email. Now the AI concierge can deal with most of those inquiries without our staff employees having to be involved with answering those questions. So that's been a good initiative, and it's been very impressive the way that's evolved.
If someone went onto your website, would concierge Cindy be there on the website? Like, she pops up as a video, and then you can speak to it, or you typing to it, and she'll answer verbally?
At the moment, it's you type the questions and it answers to you verbally. At some point, there might be voice recognition, but and we're going to roll it out so it's different languages. So if you're French, you can type a French question, and she'll answer to you in French to recognize that your language is French. So it's evolving, and certainly going to get better from this point. The next project that I'm looking at with AI is fleet management. So it's looking at, planning your best routes. It's looking at your driver behavior. Are they braking too often? Are they speeding? Are they going too slow? Managing your trucks, predictive maintenance schedule. Okay, so this truck is probably going to be due for an oil change in 2 weeks' time. That's something I'm working on at the moment. The software is out there at the moment. It's just a matter of looking at the best one and then implementation.
When you look at that type of implementation, I think of the programs that are out here in North America, like Samsara, Geotab, all of those that are very popular. And you can input this stuff, or to give you the trackings, they'll tell you if the driver's braking too hard, or they're keeping track of the kilometers. How are you building? Are you looking for programs similar where it has like an open API that you can then build like a GPT add-on to that actual program? Or are you looking at just completely developing like your own AI where, somebody in your office is inputting some of this information, or that it can build into like the OEM reader in the truck, and then it can give you all the details and all the data?
Yeah, I think the software is out there, so we may look at off-the-shelf software that's already doing this. But the difference being is that some companies are a little bit more advanced in having AI make interpretive, interpreting the results of that tracking. That rather than you just going on a screen and saying, "Oh, this is where the truck is at the moment," that the AI is interpreting how things could be done better. The software that reports exactly the situation, your fuel consumption, whatever else. But we're looking for now that companies are incorporating the software with AI, that they're making suggestions on how it can do things better. Which software that just reports doesn't do well at saying, you're doing this, but you could be doing this better, whereas AI can help interpret the results a little bit better.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I think you're onto something. I feel like you guys need to market it and sell it. Even with the concierge Cindy, would be huge to offer that type of service, especially if it's already built. There is when we talk about concierge service, one of the big things that I love doing, or what we do, is we work with a lot of senior relocation companies, right? So, or even companies and firms that offer relocation services. There's always somebody that is there to hold the hand of, an elderly couple, or, one that has lost a family member, and they help with downsizing. They make sure everything is inventoried. They help them find a new home. They help them, there's all the different steps. When I think of Asian Tigers, you're not just about moving boxes and helping relocate those customers. You also help support or offer visa support, home and school searches, tenancy management. Why are these services such a big deal in Asia? And how does it also compare to North American approach? Because to me, I find that this is still a very untapped market to have, and that you could utilize someone in your office that maybe has that right customer service touch, that you can open up this extra avenue for especially high value client that just don't have the time and want someone that understands and knows what to do, take care of it all, right? Like, delegate, here, you handle it, you make sure it's taken care of. And it's like, to me, this great untapped market. I remember speaking to someone that said, if you can find out and have it so that if I was moving into a small town in, around, let's say, Hong Kong, like a city just outside, and that client was looking for it, you could, even talk to the local restaurants or the grocery stores, or, somewhere around there, and say, hey, listen, we have a lot of clients looking to move into this area. Would you be willing to maybe offer some type of discount? You could have like a welcome basket with, different types of discounts and stores and restaurants and supplies that you might want to need, like the home hardware store that you might need for your home. And you can build off this as a referral funnel and an affiliate partnership. I'm assuming that's not your approach when you're offering this, but why has it made it such a great impact within the company?
Yeah, if I look back, in my history in the industry and when I started, the subject, the term relocation management company wasn't really in existence so much in those days. And I think for the reason that moving companies mostly said, look, we move things from A to B, we don't do all the other stuff, I think led to the emergence of relocation management companies as a preferable option for a lot of multinational companies who wanted the one-stop shop package that a company can provide, all the whole scale, visa, immigration, housing, and whatever else. So, the reality today is that, the majority of the multinational company relocations around the world are managed by relocation management companies. And I think the moving companies were slow to be able to offer, something similar. And that's the question, why is it more important in Asia? I guess if someone's moving from one town in North America to another, city in North America, it's different, but, speak the same language. It's, there's similarities which you have to overcome. I think if you're talking about moving to Asia, where it's a different culture, different languages, it's a critical decision to make. I've got a presentation in a few weeks to a bunch of newcomers to Shanghai, where I talk about, how best to settle into a new environment. It's different. Your children have to, settle into new schools. You have to, decide the best neighborhood to live in. If the company is funding that, which is, I think smart, because these people you're moving around are expensive commodities. You want them to settle in and be productive as quickly as possible. So I think it's smart to invest some money into those things. But even for personal individuals, and I had someone email me this week who are moving to either Vietnam or Thailand and said, look, we know you guys do these services. Can you support us? So I think it enables the settling in process. The right decisions are made, which neighborhood we want to be in, where's the school at, where's the office at. Helps making important decisions be made quickly. It helps them settle in, and there's failed relocations where the spouse just cannot feel comfortable, and it becomes a very expensive failed relocation. The opportunity to monetize that. I know we have a welcome pack in Shanghai that we give to every client that moves to Shanghai. And we've gone to organizations that, provide service to expats, whether it's insurance, whether it's air purifiers, whether it's restaurants. And we said, look, we have a lot of clients that move to Shanghai. We have a welcome pack. We'll allow you to put your brochure into the pack. We're not going to charge you for that, but we want you offering a good deal, a discount or special offer to our clients if you want to put your flyer in our welcome pack. But it's critical because in Asia, because it's just so different than what people may be used to in North America. The day-to-day life, getting around, just living is culturally very, very different than what they may be used to. So I think it's critical in Asia to provide that additional support to people when they move here.
Hey everyone, Matty Mailers here, the guy who pioneered handwritten letters for the moving industry. Why? Because my competition at my moving company was using the same stock postcards as me, and my mailing company didn't care. So I created a better way. Here's some mind-blowing results in July. Miracle Movers Utah closed $93,000 using our handwritten letter strategy. With our campaigns, you can forget about the guessing games. You get a trackable phone number, daily photo proof, an incredible design team, and I'm also included. All letters stop at me for approval before they ever leave our facility. Right now, Mubified listeners get 1,000 golden tickets stuffed in our genuine handwritten letters completely free. Plus, I'm going to throw in bulk realtor data for up to 5 counties. What are you waiting for? Moving Letters AI. Stop competing, start dominating.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about Tighten Up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs. There's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tighten Up training yet, get a demo done. Get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tighten Up training today.
Well, I think, in a twofold, if there's anybody like my wife who does so much research, especially when we're going to go on vacation, and is almost better than a travel agent on finding the best deals here and this is where we're going to go and itinerary plan, my hats are off to you. But that isn't the majority of people. And for me, I can only imagine if I was moving and relocating to Shanghai, I would want a relocation company to help me, and give me the advice for in asking the right questions. How old are your children? What kind of school are you looking for? What kind of community are you looking for? What do you need to be close by? There's the list goes on. And then to actually facilitate that and go, okay, here we found the perfect area for you. This is it. Here's your welcome package. Here's actually a couple, discounts to some of the local markets. Go check them out. Even let them know that you were moved by Asian tigers and they'll take good care of you, because they're just a continuing client of, that you work with, our affiliate. I would feel so comfortable and have so much trust in making that happen that the price would be priceless, right? I would truly be thankful that it happened instead of me doing it myself. And the next thing you know, I'm in the weirdest neighborhood and my kids are going to the worst school, and you're running around and it's a different language and all of it. So having that type of opportunity or that type of offer within your company, I think is huge, especially where you are, and it seems to be working well. The last question on that is, do you typically work when you're working with the companies or just the client? Is that based on like an hourly, or do you put together some sort of package? Like, if you want us to handle XYZ, this is your full package price, or is it, hey, listen, like, this is an hourly charge and this is how we price it out? Because I can imagine people that are listening, their brain is turning right now thinking, how can I do this? Like, how can I make this work? And how am I going to sell it to a customer to say, hey, we can offer this service, but am I doing it hourly? How am I tracking time of my hours? Should I just put it together as a package? What are you doing that's working well at Asian Tigers?
So yeah, we operate DSP, or relocation service, through our sister company called Silk Relo. We work closely with them as a sister company. So typically, when companies buy packages, so they say, okay, we want to buy 2 days of home search, and visa immigration is fixed pricing. It might be ad hoc services, so they might call up and say, I've got a problem with my power, or my water's not working. Can you help sort it out? So those sort of things are ad hoc, hourly type fees. So it's we have a menu of things, and people choose the menu. Do they want the daily package? Do they want a 2-day package, 3-day package? Orientations typically 1 day, or it can be 2 days. And then there's ad hoc, where unforeseen needs and emergencies, perhaps, which might be charged on an hourly basis. So it's basically a menu, and the companies are picked. Okay, we want A, B, C, and F, and G. So it's very much individual choices. So, I think the employees appreciate the experience. It's very stressful when they're relocating. It's a big decision to make for the family. I think that their employees that provide those support services, I think the employee looks more benevolently at their employers. Okay, they're really making sure we're taken care of. And this is where the advent of the lump sum, here's a sum of money, you take care of everything yourself. It might save a bit of money at the end of the day, but I think the employee experience might be a lot less than one for giving proper full support with professional assistance.
What does the future look like? What is the plans for Asian Tigers coming up in the next 5 years?
I think continuing, looking at AI as how that can help us more. Of course, AI is involving as well. What AI is capable of doing today is probably going to be different than next year. So I think as an organization, keeping an eye on what AI can do for us. And it's not about necessarily saving money or saving employees. It's about improving the client experience, how to make them access information easier and quicker, and perhaps more accurately. So it's all about continuous business improvement. How do we make the relocation experience of our clients better, easier? And I think, as technology evolves, then we'll be keeping a close eye on how the new technology evolves and how that can help us more.
Last question before I let you go, because I feel like I could sit here and talk to you for hours on end. I can imagine your phone is and your emails are blowing up because it's the middle of the day for you. If someone that's listening or watching this episode was interested in trying to get into international shipping and didn't know what to do, didn't know how to price point, didn't know how to get started in this, but is getting lots of leads, people that are saying, hey, can I move, from here to Mexico? Can I move, from here to somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Asia? What would your recommendation be to get started?
Well, I know companies who, as you described, are in a situation where they're getting leads and they just don't have the knowledge to facilitate those leads in the way that they could. There's two options that they have. They either partner with a find a partner who has experience in the industry, international moving industry, who they can work together with. So, okay, I get the leads, you help facilitate the shipment. I know companies that do this in North America at the moment. So that's one route to go down to, which is an easy one. And of course, organizations like IM and BD offer very good training courses, training people in the area of international moving, from operations to sales to move coordinators and so forth. So I think, in the long term, if you think international moving is something that you want to be involved with, I think, there's opportunities to get trained up on how to do that. You obviously can hire people with experience as well. The short-term fix would be to partner with someone who has that experience, another company partner that can help you out with that.
And to add to this, for those that are listening and want to go to New York in October, IM is going to be in New York this year, which is amazing because typically they're not in North America very often, and they're doing a couple rounds. So go check it out. The tickets are not cheap, especially if you're not a member, but the networking opportunity is huge, especially if you're getting international leads, especially if you're interested in getting into the international market. This is the place to go. Have a goal and a mindset ready, because you want to try and have some sort of path and a way to network your way through there, because I can imagine it's typically a full house at any IM event conference. So definitely check that out. Jason, this has been amazing and a pleasure. I really appreciate your time. For those that are, about to tune out, this episode is coming just before the Moving Titan event that's happening in St. Petersburg, Florida. It is definitely, I'd probably say, a 10th of the size of going to an IM event. But there is about 350 moving company owners that are attending this event already. And you could be still them. So you could check it out. It's all about learning and growing and networking. It's the only way. If I have anything that's going to be shipped over to Asia, I know who to call. And that is the beauty of LinkedIn. That's the beauty of connecting. That's the beauty of, striking new friendships with other moving companies that are not just your next door neighbor, but are across the pond or across North America, because then you know who to call. It's been a pleasure. And for all those that are listening, stay Mubified, everybody. It's been great. And until next time, make sure you check us out. Make sure you subscribe, like us, comment. If you aren't doing international moving, let us know what's working, what's not. And are you part of IM, and are you part of FIM or FIM, FAIM? Am I pronouncing it right, Jason?
Yes, I am. International Association of Movers. So I'll be in New York City for this IM conference. If anyone wants to sit down for a cup of coffee with me, just reach out to me.
Appreciate it. Awesome. And we'll have Jason's contact information. We'll have a link over to Asian Tigers and his LinkedIn contacts. So make sure you connect with Jason if you're attending. And it's been great. Appreciate it. Thank you.